Ladies and gentlemen, we were waiting for a magic sign that we should start, and I think the magic sign is coming from my watch that tells me that that we have to get the panel going. Welcome to the session on smart cities in the Belt and Road Initiative. I'm very pleased to be here. My name is Laszlo Pinter. I'm the moderator of the session. I'm a professor and department head at the Central European University, and I'm also with the International Institute for Sustainable Development. So, as we all know, the Belt and Road Initiative is one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects on the planet, or becoming one, and one of the most important, if not the most important, piece of infrastructure that determines how people live and where they live is actually our cities. So cities are hubs for production and consumption. They are also hubs for an increasing number of people. We've all seen the charts that show that the number of urban people is steadily increasing. And that's also true, and I think it's particularly true for the Asia-Pacific region and the Belt and Road countries. So we also know that cities and urbanization in general comes with costs, and it comes with significant challenges. But as we also know, challenges also come with opportunities. And the type of opportunity that's represented by the Belt and Road Initiative is something that should get a lot of attention, particularly from the point of view of making cities in this region smarter and more efficient and more effective. So that's the topic of our panel. The smart city concept has been around for quite some time already, and there are many excellent initiatives, and we have a very distinguished panel of people who are involved in this in many ways. So we will hear some brief statements from the panelists at about 10 minutes each, and then we hope to open the floor for questions, and we hope to have a nice and collegial dialogue about this topic. So first, I would like to just briefly mention the panelists. So first we will go with Leonardo Cerciello. I hope I'm saying the right names.
Very good pronunciation.
Right, who is Vice President of Telecom Italia Sparkle, based in Singapore. He's an IT executive. He began his career with Telecom Italia in '94, worked around the world essentially in various senior positions, Europe, Africa, Middle East. He managed the voice services business line and Vice President of Marketing in December 2012. He's currently VP Sales for Asia, Africa, Middle East, and he has a degree in economics and in business from Rome, so he said he is sort of the quintessential Roman. So I have two questions for you, so I will go one by one, Leonardo. The first question is what should be the criteria for sustainable cities in BRI countries?
Well, first of all, good afternoon to everybody. And let me thank TÜSİAD for inviting me here in Istanbul for participating to this BRICA event. It's for me a big honor to be here and to share with all the other panelists this opportunity to share our experience, our idea on how we can help each other with reference to the Belt and Road Initiative. As you said, I'm working in Telecom Italia Sparkle. Sparkle is a company fully owned by TIM, Telecom Italia Mobile Group. It's a leading telecommunication company providing telecommunication service to the other license operator, OTT, corporate business customer. We have a running office in 40 countries worldwide. Of course, we have office in Singapore and Hong Kong, but also here in Istanbul, in Turkey, where we run a couple of data centers serving many corporate customers. And we have office, of course, along the Belt and Road countries. When we speak about smart city, in my opinion, we have to define what does it mean for Sparkle, what does it mean for us, a smart city. Smart city is a place where at least 5 dimensions, such as the scope, the intelligence, the coordination, the connectivity and openness are evolving together to combine and satisfy the business, residential and industrial community needs with the support of all the sector involved, the private and public sector, that are linking and working together towards a social collaboration and integration, with the aims of enhancing our quality of life, protect the environment, and fight against the climate change. We are investing a lot into the innovation and advanced technology to develop the smart city concept. Smart city is a place where the traditional network and services are made more efficient with the use of digital and telecommunication technologies for the benefit of its inhabitants and business. Smart city involve many areas, many sectors. It's not only a usage of the ICT solution. It implies and will benefit areas and sectors such as the health, such as the mobility solution, the government, the education, the usage of natural resources, energy, and of course, connectivity. When I say smart city concept goes beyond the use of ICT for better resource use. We can make and run many examples of what does it mean smart city with reference to the health, to reference to the mobility, when we can have easily access through many applications and understanding where are the traffic jam and try to avoid that road, that path to be more efficient, to be more safe. Where are the government area where we can improve to be more efficient, to save time, to be more productive. This with the aim of improving, as I said at the beginning, the quality of life and our experience. We as, and then of course, the smart city concepts imply also interactive and responsiveness by the city government. It will be, and it will at the end provide a safer public space that will meet also the need of an aging population that is, of course, involving many areas in Europe, but not only in Europe, all around the world. We as a Telecom Italia group, we are developing a lot based on our initial experience during the Expo 2015, where we have launched the first initiative similar to the developing of the smart city. And of course, we have built a lab in Turin, in the north of Italy, where we work a lot on the demos dedicated to the virtual reality, to the big data analytics, and the artificial intelligence. Of course, in the Telecom Italia team labs in Turin, we also run the smart city control room. That is an environment of 60 square meters, where we have implemented the integrated control room and the city dashboard, providing a real-time map overview of city traffic and mobility, energy consumption, pollution, and crisis information. This again is a test solution to experiment what does it mean for us smart city. Of course, also we try to deploy and test many IoT solutions especially with a special focus on the smart reader and the agriculture solution. These are our experience and our expertise that I hope it will be beneficial and has been beneficial to be shared with all of you to try to support the Belt and Road initiative and defining how to build and where to build the smart city across the path.
Okay, thank you, Leonardo. You already anticipated my second question, which was actually about how can smart cities use advanced ICT, and you gave a couple of very good examples in terms of sectoral applications and actually the need not just to work at the level of sectors, but to bring information together in terms of dashboards and as you said, a control room, because after all, the city is not just sort of a disjointed, even though it has many neighborhoods, many sectors, it's not just a disjointed unit. We have to look at them as a functioning whole. So,
yeah, but also it's very important to understand the implication on the environment, on the reduction and improvement in terms of the quality of our life for many aspects, also from the health or the pollution and the fact that we can easily, let's say, regulated the heating of our building, or understanding where are the pollution to make a more, let's say, beneficial policy for our smart city. Again, as I said, and I already anticipate, the advanced network and the 5G technology are the pillar and the layer where we are developing the smart city concept. On this such advantage information and communication technology, it will support the IoT solution implementation, the virtual reality, and of course all the robotics and that big data analytics.
Excellent. That's an extremely good start for this panel, and it just gets more exciting. So I would like to go on to Berin Bentley, who is founder of Novusense Smart City Institute. When I look through your CV, I would characterize you as maybe as a serial entrepreneur, if I can say that. So you started many things. So you've been an executive in the ICT industry for 30 years. You worked for Oracle and Intel, and you started Novusense, which was the first think tank in Turkey specialized in ICT and innovation. And you've been given awards. You also established the Big Data Institute, so there's a lot of connection here to topics Leonardo mentioned. And in 2000, you were already recognized as Turkish IT media by Turkish IT media as the first international woman executive of Turkey. So there's lots under. You have a degree in computer engineering, executive MBA. And you manage TEDx Ankara. So there's a lot that you've done. So I have also two questions for you. So first is, what are the smart city challenges and critical success factors of Turkey? Is there any city in Turkey that is using a systemic approach for smart city transformation? An example, concrete example.
Thank you, Laszlo. First, I would like to thank TÜSİAD for their kind invitation to this conference. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the kind introduction. Yeah, it has been a long time in the ICT industry, and sometimes I feel very exhausted, but I still have the energy to initiate something more. Regarding the first question that you have, before talking about the top challenges of the smart cities in Turkey, let me give a very brief information about the study that we had done almost 4 or 5 years ago. We had, together with the Turkish Informatics Foundation, we had decided to look at the current situation in Turkey, what kind of challenges that we have, what kind of potential solutions, what should be the priority areas of smart cities, because as you know, there are a lot of industries that smart city applications have been providing solutions. So that initiative was called the Smart City Readiness Assessment of Turkey. It was a huge initiative. So we had planned that initiative in two phases. In the first phase, we tried to identify the current situation and made an analysis. We have tried to see the, the potential areas that we could improve related with the potential or current challenges. So the scope was limited with smart mobility, smart energy, and the utilities, which had included water and waste. Why these three areas? Because we had seen that most of the challenges were, falling into these three fields. And it was not only valid for Turkey, it was valid for the other countries as well. So although the study took 6 months, but initiating the whole initiative took almost 2-3 years to be able to identify the right partners to collaborate. So we started with the initiative with the Turkish Informatics Foundation, which was commissioned. The initiative was commissioned by the MasterCard and Intel Turkey, and also supported by Istanbul Technical University as an academic partner. So you can access, we published the report on 1st of March, 2 years ago, 2016. You can see all of the details about our findings, but one of the most important findings was the challenges, smart city challenges that the municipalities had faced. We had made a special survey and also one-to-one interviews and many site visits. So with all of the metropolitan municipalities, there were 30 metropolitan municipalities and their district, all of their district municipalities. Apart from that, we had also water companies, old water companies, electricity and gas distribution companies. So we had seen that the most challenging area was the financial resources. So many of the smart city applications had been submitted for accessing the resources for the municipalities. Actually, it was a tough challenge accessing the financial resources. Why? Because municipalities have already had their own challenges and their own budgets. On top of that, whenever they received smart city applications, submissions, they were really struggling with finding the related budgets. So what we had proposed in the report, there might be some alternative financial resources, not only in the municipality budgets, but in the city. If we look at the city level, there are various types of financial resources, but the most important way is to develop a kind of a joint city finance model. There are a lot of different models at the city level, but we had proposed that all the decision makers of the cities get together and find out those financial models together. That was the top challenging one. And the second challenge that we had identified was the collaboration, which is not a surprising result. By definition, smart city requires a strong collaboration among the stakeholders of the city, municipalities, government institutions and agencies, private industry companies, multinationals, if any, and startups, SMEs, and NGOs, local NGOs, and maybe international NGOs as well. This is a very problematic area. It is not valid only in smart cities, but it's actually valid, unfortunately, for each and every industry. So somehow we have to find some mechanisms or some environments, and we have to create some environments to allow these stakeholders come together and create potential solutions for the city, for their cities. One of the suggestions that we had in the report was about establishing a smart city platform. So we're seeing that most of the successful cities in the world have their own smart city platforms, which includes almost all of the stakeholders from their cities. And we had identified some other challenges, just a few. Let me give a few more examples. The other one is about the lack of coordination at the city or province level. We've identified that we were having a lot of duplicate investments. Why? Because there was no coordination among the stakeholders. So we're still seeing these kind of duplicate investments a lot. Another one, standards. We need city standards and also technology standards that had been agreed among the stakeholders of the cities. Another important one, I guess, was related with the data, especially with the open data, in order to provide, more valuable services for the citizens. We encourage all the institutions, especially the government institutions, to open their data. And also big data. Big data is another important aspect. We had some difficulties in understanding the way of, applying big data applications. Actually, smart city definition requires usage of data and data analysis. This is a must. Regarding the second part of your question, yes, we have. I'm happy to say that, we had the pleasure of starting a new transformation in a city called the city of Çanakkale. The Çanakkale has been the first city that has used a systematic smart city transformation model to transform itself into a smart city structure among the mid-sized cities. So actually, this is not just a project. This is a journey, and this is an open-ended journey. Smart city is not. Smart city is not a destination. Smart city is a kind of a journey. So it's important to have the commitment and the buy-in of the local city stakeholders. I'm happy to say that we have completed the first phase of this smart city transformation in Çanakkale. Now we are in the process of running the second phase. Hopefully it will be ended by the end of December. So we are applying a smart city transformation model, which means that all the stakeholders of the city come together and they make their decisions together, and also they're planning the next phase all together. Thank you.
Actually, you're not done yet because I have another question.
Oh.
So, and maybe there could be a brief answer. What is the impact of technologies on smart cities? Of course, you already answered that to some degree. If you just want a quick commentary on that, yeah.
Yeah, to some extent, yes. Yes, technologies have a great impact on the smart cities. There are a lot of technologies, Leonardo also has already stated. I can say that technology is not a target, is not the goal, should not be the goal. Technology is just an instrument. The goal of the smart cities is to create the quality of the lives of the people. It's not the technology. But the perception in the initial years of, smart city evolution, in the first years, most of the people have the perception of the smart city equals technology. Actually, on the contrary, we have to focus on the people aspect, not the technology. Naturally, technology is, rapidly developing, and we are seeing technology as as a tool that makes easier the lives of the people, or makes easier the smart city applications. Actually, workability, sustainability, and sustainability, livability, and workability. These three aspects are the most important aspects of the smart cities, and technologies can help the cities in improving the livability, workability, and sustainability. So the famous, the top technology that I see in the smart cities is the Internet of Things. It's like a skeleton of the smart cities. It's the top technology in my view. But there are other important technologies like big data, open data, wearable technologies, robotics. These technologies also can help the improvement of the smart city applications.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reinforcing some of the points that were made before. Okay, so now we're going on to Marcus Ross, who is Commercial and Compliance Team Lead at Future Cities Catapult, which by itself is a fascinating name. So Marcus has 15 years of experience in IP law, technology development, collaborative research with venture capital, and he worked on a wide range of sectoral projects ranging from nuclear reactors to pet products and sustainable building materials, and the list goes on. He is with the Catapult right now, which is a UK-based organization. It's focused on advanced urban services, and he has an interdisciplinary background, biological sciences from Oxford, and computer science, artificial intelligence from University of Kent, law from Queen Mary College, technology management at the Open University. Wow. So I have two questions for you too. And the first is, what are some of the key challenges of urbanization experienced in the BRI countries?
Thank you, Laszlo. Yes. And first of all, to amplify on the point that Berin just made, I was really glad that you raised this. Smart cities are not necessarily about technology. People automatically think, let's make a city smart, let's instrument everything. But if technology is the answer, what was the question? And urbanization is a broader, much broader challenge than mere technology alone, certainly in the Belt and Road Initiative cities. And you mentioned earlier on the pressures of urbanization, people moving to cities. In fact, more people now live in cities than live outside of them. And this is historically unprecedented. In fact, we probably passed that point in about 2016. Personally, I think it's historically fascinating that for the first time, the default human state is not rural living, it is urban living. And in order to face the challenges of urbanization in Belt and Road Initiative countries, we need to think about making cities livable for human beings. And the reason why I say that is that the Belt and Road Initiative, I think, will inevitably lead to economic growth within those countries. That is the whole point of it. And economic growth and urbanization go hand in hand. We've seen this in China over the past 30 years, for example. As the Chinese economy has boomed and diversified, more and more people have moved to cities, and within cities, economic diversification occurs. Now, every new individual who moves to a city for the first time needs housing, access to clean water, they need healthcare, they need transport, they physically need a space to live. Every new individual adds to this pressure. And some cities have managed this process of growth well, others have not managed it well. And I would argue that the core cause of whether there is a successful and sustainable outcome is the basic planning infrastructure around a city. For example, one could argue that part of the reason why there's so much poor quality housing and related health problems in Mumbai, for example, could be traced back to Mumbai's colonial era planning laws, which state that it is not possible within Mumbai to build buildings over a certain height within most districts. Now, paradoxically, high-rise buildings actually do lead to sustainable housing outcome because you get more people in a smaller space. And if you have more people in a smaller space, you can have more brownfield development, you can place more industries nearer the center, you have more space, crucially, for green spaces as well. Now, we know that urbanization has a demonstrable and quantifiable effect on the mental health and physical health of its inhabitants. We know this. There are certain issues with physical health and certainly obesity that correlate directly with urbanization. The best way to combat these is access to active transport, people being able to cycle and walk as much as possible, and also access to green spaces. So I would argue that when we're thinking about the challenges of the urbanization that will inevitably happen as a result of the Belt and Road Initiative, we need to go back to how we think about planning spaces for people.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So you are actually speaking to one of my projects, which the new term is now nature-based solutions in cities, and how do we systematically integrate green space exactly into the technological development and planning and architectural processes, urban space development. So, yeah, if you Google Natureation, it's a big initiative. So this is getting attention. So I think very good. So the second question is how can smart cities utilize advanced ICT?
I think, coming back to the point I raised earlier on, it's not about the technology. If technology is the answer, then what exactly is the question? And so I would cite an example from my own experience, which relates to the sustainability of water supplies within cities. Now, when one thinks about the sustainability of water supplies, people tend to think in terms of old-fashioned civil engineering style solutions. In London, we have a tremendous problem with getting clean water reliably to where we need it to be, despite the fact that it rains constantly in London. And the reason for that is that we have an aging water infrastructure in London. It's Victorian, it really is. There are water pipes still in use in London, which were probably put in the ground about 200 years ago. How can we work out what's going on inside them? How can we predict whether one is about to burst? Because a burst water main doesn't just lead to a lack of water supply for that area. It could flood a street, it could damage concrete, buildings, so on and so forth. So we started in this particular project from the perspective of, is it possible to place some kind of non-invasive sensor on a pipe which can tell you what's going on inside it? And the answer is yes, it is actually possible to do this. These are acoustic sensors, and they detect pressure variations, transients as they're called, within the pipe. And we started to instrument a small section on this. Now, in that particular case, we didn't start from a perspective of, let's instrument something and see what happens. We started from the perspective of, what is the problem? And the problem was aging infrastructure. So it's about the use case of the technology that you're doing. Another good example would be air quality sensors, and this is a huge issue in London at the moment. London is unfortunately now one of the third worst cities in the world for nitrous oxide pollution due to the use mainly of diesel within the city centre. Many people have instrumented parts of the city in order to detect the different kinds of particulates, NOx, SOx, various pollution gases that are being produced by our aging bus infrastructure. And we have very detailed knowledge about that, and that's great. That's important research. Metrology and sensing is important. But now we have that knowledge, what do we do with it? We know there is a problem. We know precisely where there is a problem. At this point, we then need to hand over into planning and policy making in order to address this challenge. So just as Berin said, it is not about the technology itself. It is about the definition of the problem and then what you do about it.
Okay. I'm gathering some sort of common messages here. So I think one is definitely, the point that both of you are making, that, smart cities is not the end goal. It's basically it's a service. It's the means to an end, basically. Thank you, Marcus. So now we're going to go on to Fernando Tomas Casado, who's manager Smart Cities with the IDOM Group, which is a large conglomerate. So he joined IDOM, and that's in Spain. So he joined IDOM in 2001, and he developed his career in the telecommunications area. He's responsible for the IDOM Group's Smart City Experts project, and he worked in a large number of locations. We're talking about specific cities, so things are happening, in concrete cities. So he managed smart city projects in Pamplona, best practices and state-of-the-art technology report on smart cities for the Association of Spanish Energy Management Agencies, master plans for telecommunication infrastructure in the Aragon region, worked on sustainable mobility in Aguascalientes, Mexico, and so on. So he's got a master's degree in telecommunications engineering from Zaragoza. He's also certified from the Project Management Institute. So it looks like you're coming at issues from a very sort of strategic and service-oriented point of view, how to get things done in specific location, in specific project context. So I have two questions. So the first one is, how could information technology help the many different interest groups in cities, companies, local governments, civil society, and others, to work together to achieve sustainable development outcomes and goals?
Okay. Thank you very much for the briefing, Laszlo. I'm very honored to be here. First of all, you will notice I'm coming from the far west. I don't mean the far west like the American movies, but the far west of Europe. So you may think that I'm outside of the Belt and Road effect. Well, that is false, because of the effect of this big project is going to be global. And well, second, I'm a partner of IDOM, and we work wherever the projects are, and we have offices and projects all around the world. So, about your question, I will try not to be repetitive, because most of the things have already been explained here in the panel. Smart cities is about achieving a better quality of life. We all agree on that. So ICT is the instrument, the technology is the instrument you use to this. And well, the different interest groups, the approach is obviously different. The local government is looking for better management. The companies and the businesses are looking for productivity and looking for better trained workers. And the citizen, what the citizen in general wants is a very healthy environment, a safer environment, and of course a more convenient city. So what is the technology bringing to this? Okay, I think there are three levels. First of all is the infrastructure, that is the common framework provided from top to bottom, provided from the government, and then the companies and other agents bring toolkits to deal with the daily activities, or to face the problems that the citizens can face. This toolkit or toolboxes sometimes are companies by itself, and sometimes are even businesses. And then altogether, this infrastructure and this toolkit and the citizens can build what is the platform. This definition of platform, you usually abuse of the language, and we call platform just the software system, but it's not. Software is nothing without the community. That's, well, a very good friend of mine, Dr. Cuartilles, one of the creators of Arduino. Arduino is hardware, is software, and it's a community, and actually nowadays is the one of the most influential open innovation platforms that exist in the world. So I think in summary, what technology can bring is this infrastructure that helped to create this common framework, these numerous tools that we can use to fix the problems, and then will help to arise this platform together with the community of citizens to approach the city.
Mm-hmm. Great. So again, we are touching on a topic that, or the importance.
I think a little philosophic, sorry, but
yeah, no, it's good. The platform came up before. You need fora where basically the different, diverse interests can be brought together and can look at the city as a city system, with the physical, the non-physical, cultural, spatial, all other aspects. And we have city halls, but that's probably not enough. We probably need more. So I have a little more specific question, actually.
Okay.
So if we look at issues such as energy and material use, so how can smart cities actually contribute to let's say energy and material use in a way that also translates into reducing the cost of running the city?
Okay, these are more in the cases of use, like Marcos said.
Maybe speak a little closer.
Okay, sorry. Like Marcos said previously, well, the idea is not to put instruments in everything and see what's happening, but going to try to fix a problem with a technology. So, things that we are doing to reduce these costs. When you achieve a better mobility, you have a better use of time, you reduce the consumption of petrol, you have a better logistics for the material, so it's a worth in investment to put money on better mobility system. Another thing, yesterday we saw in one of the sessions, sorry, the experience in China with the district heating and cooling systems, changing from one boiler in each one of the buildings to a third one and a more cost-effective system for the complete district. These are other things we are doing, and this is not only information technology, it's energy technology as well. Some other improvements that can be done about the public street lighting, changing to LED technology, but not only changing the technology. If we go to a model of reactive lighting, only used depending if there is someone or not, or the risk of the area, whatever, even the weather conditions, we can reduce the consume. Of course, we need lighting technology that we can manage. If not, it's impossible. But these approaches are helping a lot and are used in cities in many areas of the world. More things about a better use of water, like he said, detecting leaks, detecting fraud even, or some other problems, optimizing pumping, depending of the cost of energy or depending of the availability of the energy. Well, there are many things we can do, but the point is first detect the problem or what is the room for the improvement, and then to apply the technology there.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for these examples, Fernando. So just doing a time check, we have a little less than 10 minutes, and I think we should give the audience a chance to ask questions. And while we answer and listen, I think it would also be good if in the last minute of this 9 minutes, we could come up with maybe 2 or 3 top-level ideas for BRI. You know, something that they should pay attention to, particularly, you know, as they roll out this initiative. That's, you know, something doable, something fairly concrete, very strategic, because just cities are just so important in this context. So, okay, so I'm opening the floor. Please state your name and ask the question. Microphone is coming.
Hello. It's not working. Okay.
I think it's working.
Ufuk Saygın from Aqua Danışmanlık. All speakers have told about benefits of smart cities, but just Mr. Manning has told specific sample, water supply system in London. As a citizen in Istanbul, I want to hear more samples to dream the benefit of these smart city applications. All speakers have told benefits workable, safeable, livable, but I can't dream the benefit of this smart city. I get up in the morning, going to work, and then turning back. What will change in my life? Mm-hmm. This is my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, that's a tough one. So, but it's a real issue, right? So there has to be some difference, of course, compared to some sort of a baseline. So are smart city applications really making the type of difference that the gentleman is asking for? Or do they have the potential to make that difference?
I'll take the challenge. You are right that smart cities, as is currently defined, does not really affect a lot of people. It's certainly only been applied in limited cases, but I would argue that not necessarily physical infrastructure, but information overlays that people have been using in cities are already affecting lives. For example, I plan to visit the Grand Bazaar later today, and in the course of doing so, I was encouraged to download a taxi app which has been specifically designed for this city. As a result of doing that, this information overlay, which is available right here in this city, I'll be able to quickly and safely get exactly where I want to go, even though I have absolutely no idea where I am or how to get there. So that's just one example that's immediately available. I agree it's a slightly trivial one, but these information overlays, as they work out across the world, are going to change things. They're going to give people access to better services. And I think, for example, certainly from the tourism perspective, one could argue that the massive demographic effects that Airbnb has begun to have on the cities in which it's operating show that it's not necessarily about infrastructure.
Another easy advantage is all related to your mobility. Of course, you wake up, you go to the work, and you come back, but let's say you can take 1 hour, 10 minutes, 10 hours to make the commuting, and having more information about the area, the traffic, the pollution, you may optimize your time to face the challenge to go to work and come back home.
Sorry? Yes. I just want to add that we are thinking about the smart city applications like a future thing, and most of them are already in use. I mean, here in Istanbul, it's the first time I come to your city. I really like it, and but I've seen traffic lights. I've seen cameras in the street. I've seen huge tunnels controlled with intelligent traffic signaling. So most of these things are running, and they are running since a long time ago. What is changing now is as common citizens, we are aware of these things, and there is this extra layer, sometimes public, sometimes coming from the private sector, that will use this data for other applications like the Airbnb or like the Uber or the one for the taxis. But well, the idea is we already have part of the systems. If we improve and if we detect where can apply this kind of solutions, we will going to have more in the near time. So we will benefit of this improvement for the city. Let's say that big metropolis usually are more advanced than other cities. So the application of the smart city technology is necessarily different here in Istanbul than in any other city of the region, depending on the country, depending on the weather conditions, depending on the size of the city. Okay.
Okay, maybe we go to, and this will have to be the last question because we have only 3 minutes left.
Okay. Is it working? Okay. Now, Mesut Şen from Netaş. I'm working as the business development director, also the prime for smart city domain. And Berin Hanım, I think, made a great summary of the problems, challenges for smart city domain, and I couldn't agree more, especially for the top two. And the financing, I mean the budget and funding, and the ecosystem, and looking at the smart city game as an ecosystem game. So I'm not sure if there is any party to talk on behalf of BRICA, but I will ask if Belt and Road Initiative Alliance has any approach to especially those finance and ecosystem challenges. We know, especially for smart city domain, you need to bring your maybe even financing model as part of your business model. So also any experiences would also, I would be glad to hear from Marcus, Fernando, or anyone. And also ecosystem is like, we know BRICA involves a couple of countries, so having a big ecosystem from any country addressing for different points of the those smart city game would work a lot. I mean, if that's not already happening, maybe you can take this as an recommendation as well. So if any party to talk on behalf of BRICA, I would be glad to hear, or any experiences, especially from financing and approaching model as an ecosystem, the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Berin, please.
Thank you. I don't have the answer yet, but actually I was going to address the same thing to the whole audience. That was going to be my suggestion, to be able to make some exploration about how we are going to, in BRI, how we are going to build up a kind of a finance model to be able to collaborate. The second thing, I was wondering whether those countries within BRI will be able to collaborate. There should be somehow a kind of an environment or mechanism to allow these countries to be able to cooperate and collaborate. Otherwise, because even within a country, we have a lot of challenges to be able to, come together and provide some solutions in the smart cities. But I wonder how we are going to tackle this in the, BRI initiative. So somehow, in my view, my humble suggestion is to, as you said, first focus on the environment, the methods, how we are going to collaborate, because we have cultural issues as well. And also somehow we have a task force or kind of a committee to be able to explore the alternative finance models Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else?
Well,
Fernando, please.
Yes. About financing, well, I don't have the answer yet, but what I've seen is it is really worth it to in project like this that is creating a network of cities. It is worth it to allocate some resources from the infrastructure cities or the governance part to create these standards or to create this network talking about these ways of building the smart cities and how you can share and how you can create yes this common framework. For instance, well, I have the sample of the European Union. The European Union is dedicating a lot of investment in creating networks and creating projects that involve together different cities from different countries in order to create these common tools and create this common understanding on how to manage problems that are very similar in the different cities.
Okay. We are at the end of our time, unfortunately, so I have to wrap up. So I think a number of things emerged, common things emerged from this conversation, and right off the bat, the question of a financing model is an important one. So cities, I think we all spoke to the point that cities are a very important and possibly an increasingly important part of the Belt and Road ambition, with many challenges and many problems. We also agreed that smart cities, or the smartness with its all technological and other aspects, have potential. They are already making a difference in certain areas of mobility or water and so on and so on. But they are still a relatively new and very intensively evolving idea. So I think we also probably have to think ahead and be patient and be very strategic and actually build the solutions that will make the difference at the level of the individual, which then will generate more support for additional solutions. So, and piggybacking on an initiative as Belt and Road, I think is really enormously important, and it's a great opportunity. So I would like to thank the speakers, Fernando, Marcus, Berin, and Leonardo, for your comments. I would like to thank the organizers, local and international. So we are very thankful. Thank you for the audience. Thank you for the questions. And that's the end of our session. Thank you very much.